Hello and welcome to the Supreme Leadership Show. My name is Rachel Abba. I am your host, and I'm an intuitive guide. So I'm often known as a supreme spiritual guide and courage mentor to highly intuitive people. And I'm in the business of supporting highly intuitive women become bold and feel seen and liberated to step out into the world to create tangible, meaningful successes for themselves on their terms. And with me today, we have Dr. Roz of Dr. Roz's Healing Place. And when we talk supreme leadership and advocacy and just like an all-round, when we talk about empowerment and the voice of women and just love, just personified love going out into the world. And she is global and has been in service and contribution for decades. Dr. Roz Roach, welcome.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for creating a space for me so I can share my voice and my thoughts and share my reality and be with you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I feel honored. And so we're just going to get right into it and, to invite you to share with our audience, a little bit about yourself and how you came to this work of supporting and in service of traumatized women and their children and families.
Well, a little bit of it. Let me see where I can begin. And this is a question that is often asked because when people get to know what I do, they think that maybe I've been through it. But I'll tell you how I began this work. I was a registered nurse in Montreal in 1972, where I basically grew up and I served. I worked in every area of health and wellness, every area of medicine, psychiatry, obstetrics, surgery, pediatrics. But I spent a lot of time working in the emergency department. And in the emergency department, I saw it all.
Wow.
And I remember being a young woman and a young nurse and having to care and help women heal through their trauma of abuse by loved ones, abuse, and I mean physical abuse at the time, not focusing much on the emotional abuse.
Yeah.
But so I saw the broken jaws and the collarbones and the broken ribs, and I remember thinking that I need to do something to make a difference. I remember thinking that just being in emergency and popping the pills to take away the pain and shifting them off to surgery or wherever was not enough.
Yes.
And very soon in that journey of nursing, I decided to go into medicine. Then I decided to go into psychiatry. Then I decided to become a therapist to bring about healing. And then I went on and on, as you see it in my bio.
Yes.
So then in medicine, I decided that I did not want to pump pills in anybody's body. I had the opportunity to study psychopharmacology and a lot of pharmacology courses where I saw that medication and pharmacology has its place, but it also causes harm in other parts of the being.
Wow.
And that makes sense that if we give someone an aspirin, for example, to take away a pain, that aspirin can cause a GI bleed, a gastrointestinal bleed.
Yes.
And that did not make sense for me. If we give someone a pill for digestive system or something, that could cause something else. And everything had a pro and a con.
Yes.
And I only seen the cons. And often I was asked, as I challenged the system and as I challenged my colleagues, they said, why did you come into nursing if you know you did not want to do this? So what did I do? I stepped into medicine and the challenge continued.
Yes.
And one day I went to my head of department, very, very worried and very afraid. I'm Black with a heavy
in the
Caribbean
70s.
accent, with a heavy Caribbean accent, with a matted head, which we call dreadlocks. And in those days, dreadlocks was not accepted. It was not a
It was
fashion.
not
I,
fashion.
no,
Mm-mm.
I was seen as a drug pusher. I was seen as a violent person because I wore dreadlocks and I
You were
suffered.
judged. Yeah.
But my it was, and I suffered from my own peers and my own family members because I had refused to put chemical in my hair. I
Yes.
to do the hot comb thing that what people would.
Yes.
I refused. I just twisted my hair, and it was not fashionable. It was not pretty. It was not acceptable, and it was. I was seen as a social deviant. So I went to my head of my department, and his name was Dr. Raymond Prince.
Yes.
And for some reason, Dr. Prince saw me as a unique but brilliant individual, the only Black woman around,
Yes.
young, with a heavy accent, and I presented my concerns to him. And I said to Dr. Prince, I want to do this, but I cannot be writing prescriptions. I cannot be pumping medication. There must be another way. I
Yes.
said, Dr. Prince, I grew up in Trinidad. And when I was a little girl, my granny would boil bush medicine to help us with fevers and coughs and colds. And Dr. Prince smiled. And Dr. Prince said, you are in the right place. You will be doing transcultural medicine.
Ooh.
You will be looking. And he said, and I said to Dr. Prince very early, Dr. Prince, I'm poor. I have no money. I work every hospital as a nurse.
Yes.
I part-time nursing in the Jewish General, part-time nursing at St. Mary's Hospital, semi-part-time working at the Royal Vic. And when I get a day off, I went to the Douglas Hospital.
Wow.
Anything to live. Yeah, the life of a Black
Yeah.
woman in the 70s.
Wow.
As an
You did what you was required. Yeah. To survive.
yeah. And Dr. Prince said to me, he set up another appointment with me. And we sat and I just talked the way I'm talking to you with
Yes.
no ambitions, no
Yes.
fear, just from my heart, telling him
Yes.
what I would really like to do. Is there anything like this, Dr. Prince? And at that time, he used the word alternative medicine.
Wow.
But he also pointed out to me that it would not be accepted. He told me that you can go that route if you wish, as we're doing career directions. And
Yes.
he said, but it would not be accepted. And I said, Dr. Prince, I just cannot do the medication thing. I
Yes.
feel that killing people, and those were my words.
Yes.
He then told me, don't use that language. However, he did.
Yes.
However, in my understanding of who I am and what I want to be and how I want to be in a white society,
Yes.
keep in mind, in the 70s in Montreal, you saw white people only.
Yes.
My husband, and myself, we were few Blacks. I was the only Black person in my school.
Wow.
So I'm making a point.
Yes, I mean it has been that way for quite some time. Only recently you see, what looks like a diverse where there's several other Black and brown people in a classroom, and it wasn't that long ago. I just want to ground that image because we assume a lot of things today. But I will say, like, even for me, I was the one Black person in my class, or one Black person in the school, or one Black person in the grade, right? So, or one Black person in the workplace. This is still a very, a real memory, cellular memory for many Black and brown folks. So, you can only imagine, what Dr. Roz was going through in the 70s in Montreal, right? So
if you did not speak French, you weren't accepted either.
that's still true till today.
And you had to speak Quebecois.
French, not Parisian French.
You weren't accepted. So it was
Yes.
a real challenging period of my life. But it made me strong and brave and bold, and it created a warrior in me who I continue as the warrior.
Yeah. Well, wait, Dr. Roz, I do believe that warrior was already there, but it definitely, it ignited her. It, you were able to see the need and see, the cause of really stepping out and being that bold, leader you are. And it gave you that push as well, even though it was like, oh, this is, uncharted territory and I don't know how this is going to work out. But you're dealing with this from the home front in terms of your own community of saying, look, you're not representing us well with your with your locks and
my community, my family.
Your family.
My sister told me one day when I was thinking of visiting my sister in Toronto, in Mississauga, Ontario,
Yes.
and I'm living in. She told me I could only come to her house if I would comb my hair.
Wow.
I was trying to talk to a cousin in Trinidad who told me, do not come to visit unless my hair is combed and done. So this was not really about my community because there was no such community, but my family.
Good point.
My sister, and my sister said, I am having Mrs. Chow over for dinner, and I don't want you to be here if your hair is not combed.
Wow.
And that's my reality. However, but that's the reality.
Yes.
That's for me. It made me like, okay. But I never felt the need to change.
Yes, you didn't take it personally.
I did, because friends would call me weird. My family member would say, oh, Roz, you're so different.
And not a compliment.
Don't bring shame to the family. I heard all that stuff. I heard stuff from my father who said, when you come to the Caribbean, don't go to Tobago because you don't want to get too black, too dark. So I grew up with
the level of internalized racism is like, that sense of, how we perceive ourselves. These are the layers on top of just the regular struggle, right, of being a woman in a male-dominated society and dominated field. So these are all the layers that Dr. Roz, that you're dealing with, and juggling multiple hospitals, and you still come correct. Like the expectations are still there, and the need, more importantly, in front of you is still there with these women coming in, different levels of trauma.
Yeah. So that led me with the support of this man, Dr. Raymond Prince. And we joked when I was younger and called him my white godfather. And that's exactly what he was. That was a joke in my family.
Yes.
Like, oh, that is Roz's white godfather. And that is what he was.
Yes.
He basically said to me, you poor, you have no money. This program is going to cost how much? $100,000. And how are you going to pay it? And I said to Dr. Prince, when I'm finished, I'm going to earn and I'm going to pay you back. And he helped me financially.
Wow.
So I got into a program called Transcultural Psychiatry at McGill University in Montreal.
Wow.
And I got the opportunity to go to different parts of the world to be an apprentice, to look at the treatments of ills and diseases without using Western approach, without using Western medicine. So I can fix anything.
I know you can.
I can fix anybody without a pill. I use food. I use a lot of food because food is a healer. Food is
medicine. Food is medicine. Yes.
Yes, food is medicine. So I spent 7 years on that, doing that project. But when I came back from that piece of work from McGill, I got the headhunters calling on me, trying to pull me to different parts of the world.
Yes.
And I had opportunities. But one thing I knew is that I was not leaving Canada. And the other thing I knew is that I was not going far away from the Caribbean.
Yes.
Because dancer, I'm a carnival woman. I like to party on the streets, carnival. And I want to go to Trinidad to carnival. So I decided to move to Toronto. And that's how I ended up in Toronto.
Wow.
Came to Toronto to really develop the Transcultural Psychiatry Department at Toronto General and Toronto Western.
Beautiful.
And became a clinician there. And even in that environment, I knew that my efforts were just lip service to everyone, that the Western approach of the pills and the medical model was going to push me to a corner. And I then got absorbed by the College of Physicians and Surgeons, which is a college that regulates all doctors, and
Yes.
got an appointment on a task force to address 129 physicians in Ontario to
Yes.
make sure that women and girls were not sexually abused in the process of treatment and care.
Oh,
So I
wow.
it's a huge appointment
Even there.
in the health system.
Oh, sweet
So
Lord.
I was appointed to the Sexual Abuse of Patients by Doctors Task Force in Ontario, which was a very, very, very
Wow.
difficult piece of work because we were now challenging the powerfuls. And,
Yes.
and I must say, I'm a Black woman with matted hair with a heavy accent, partly
Let's not
French,
forget that.
that,
Let's not
partly
forget it.
coming out of Quebec, more twisted than than a Caribbean woman, because the French twang is coming in and people are constantly saying, say that again. Yeah. Say that again. Repeat yourself. It's like, no, my heaven, this is racist, in my experience.
Yes.
So that piece of work with the College of Physicians and Surgeons in a leadership role on the task force, investigating every doctor in Ontario.
So you're not a friend. Like you're considered almost like someone not to be trusted. Like you're almost like a traitor.
Bad girl is coming. Dr. Roz is always angry.
Yeah.
Dr. Angry Black woman. But that was fine.
So she's like, I didn't mind.
No, I'm not afraid. I'm a brave Black woman.
Yes.
I challenge anybody and anything once I know it's wrong and you're going to cause harm to someone else.
Yes.
I will fight you to the end.
That's courage. Yeah.
That's who I am.
Yes.
But I'm also kind and generous and giving and
yes,
loving. You are. I attract a lot of beauty and a lot of goodness, but do it right. So I did that for the college. And at the same time, as a consultant, I went into 29 women's shelter around the province to look at policies and procedures and to do mediation and to develop the boards and to develop the staff and to train. And one day, and at the same time, I have my private practice as the first Black female psychoanalyst in the province. So I was extremely busy.
Repeat that again, please.
I was the first, I was seen to be Black female psychoanalyst around the province. Psychotherapist, psychoanalyst.
Yes.
But I
in the province of Ontario?
Ontario.
Beautiful.
And I serve only women and children.
Yes.
So, and I serve women and girls who have experienced gender-based violence.
Yes.
My practice was extremely heavy. But in that practice, we clearly did not use pills. So we used all alternative treatment, from psychotherapy to visualization to Reiki, the therapeutic touch. That was my practice. I headed a practice with about 10 different practitioners, all bringing and contributing their different practices to bring about healing of trauma.
Yes.
Using dance therapy, movement therapy, all the variety of therapies happen in my practice, which at the time was called the Women's Healing Place.
Beautiful.
It was the Women's Healing Place. That was my private practice. And as a consultant, I had again an opportunity to go into 29 women's organizations in Ontario to do policy development, staff development, to write reports to government for funding, and to make sure that these spaces and places were safe for women to go to.
Yes.
And that was hellish.
To say the least.
No other word to describe it. One day, I volunteered when I had spare time in Montreal at the Kagnawagna Indigenous Reservation, Native in Reservation. But when I volunteered as a nurse in Kagnawagna, I was distressed by the conditions that the Indigenous people were living under. The hospital that I worked at was a little house. And in the winter, the wooden flooring was out. And the patients were using potties to void in.
Yes.
And I began to ask the question, how is that? How is this that these people are the founders of this land? and they are not supported by this country. And the world is seen kind of as this well-to-do, rich enough space. And there's
Yes.
this population living under this condition on the reservation.
Yes.
So I did my volunteer piece. And when I came to Ontario, I experienced a similar situation or similar situations at the women's shelters. These were shelters where women were fleeing abuse and violence
Yes.
from partners or their homes or their loved ones. And they were hiding in these dilapidated,
decrepit conditions. Yeah. So here, I mean, first of all, you know, these are the environments you're running into. I mean, is there really an incentive to flee? You know, it's like you go from an environment that is unsafe, fatal in many cases. I mean, we're not even talking the emotional, psychological trauma, just the physical survival instinct, the primal instinct. And then your option is to flee one hell into another hell, right? Mm-hmm. So in this conversation, it's almost as if, you know, one might question, well, what is my value? Right? Like, what is my worth? Like, how do I even find that sense of dignity, you know, in all of this? And so you're witnessing all of this as, you know, as a healthcare practitioner, as a woman. And then, you know, already the system is, you know, supportive. They're hearing you. You're getting any kind of, you know, yes, this is, you know, we see what you're seeing, or again, another wall of resistance.
Well, there's always a wall of resistance.
She's like, that's life.
Always. Nothing comes
in this
easy.
work. This has been your experience.
Wherever you are,
yeah,
you will bumping into the wall. But I'm going to go back, and I really need to develop this conversation around the resistance. And you would find
Please
it along
do.
I talked to you about the experience of building Dr. Roz's Healing Place.
Beautiful.
So I went to every woman's shelter in the province as a consultant.
Yes.
And one day, just one day, I came to a little house at the corner of Brimley and Sinclair and doing my consulting role. And as I was leaving, a child grabbed my skirt and began to cry to want to leave with me.
Oh.
That was when it all fell apart. I said to the staff who still works with me, that's about 30 years ago I'm talking about.
Yes.
To the staff, where is the mother? The staff said the mother was sleeping. I said to the staff, can you help me remove the baby from my skirt? We had to unlock the child's fingers.
One by one.
Doing a lot of pain to get that child from my skirt. The staff grabbed the baby and I rushed through the front door, got into my vehicle, sat there and began to cry.
Of course, yeah.
I wept for a bit, pulled myself together, and then I picked up a car phone. In those days, the phones were a huge thing.
Like a shoe.
Yeah. I picked it up and I called a friend who is another Black woman who worked at Toronto. She was a nurse at Toronto General, where I was the consultant, the clinician. And I called her and I said to her, I called her by her first name, and I said to her, this is what I need to do. I need to close my private practice and raise money to build a center conducive to healing for women and children who are fleeing violence.
Yes.
And my friend said to me, why would you want to do that with all your education? Social service does not pay. Exactly those words. I put the phone down and I began to pull myself. I was driving a shift stick. In those days, I drove standard shift.
Mm-hmm.
And I pulled my card aside because I was not able to talk on the phone and shift.
No.
So I pulled my card to the side and I called my soulmate. My soulmate at this point is Dr. Mary Lou McFedrin. She's a senator presently in Canada. I call Lulu, Mary Lou, but I call her Lulu.
Yes.
And I said to Mary Lou, I was feeling so broken and so lost. I just needed to be contained.
Yes.
That the person that I needed to talk to is Mary Lou, because that was the one person that I trusted completely.
Yes.
The one person that I loved in a way that I can say whatever I need to say and not be judged.
Yes.
So I called Lou and I said, and this is how the conversation went. I said, Lulu, where are you? She said, I'm at Women's College Hospital, which is a women's hospital here.
Yes, in the GTA here.
I said, can I see you? She said, yes, meet me at the club. The club was called the McGill Club, which is a club of all rich white women. And when it's downtown, it used to be downtown Toronto. And when I go to that women's club, everyone thought I was Mary Lou's housekeeper. So I said to Mary Lou, I said, Lulu, you know that they will not let me in there. And Mary Lou said, Roz, be there. So I went. Checked myself in at the desk. I'm here to see Mary Lou McFedrin, who is a powerful lawyer and a real shaker. Everyone knows Mary Lou, and they also know not to mess with Mary Lou and Mary Lou's people.
Yes.
So they at least sit and wait for Mary Lou. Mary Lou came to the front. We went to the back. We sat in a hot tub. Mary Lou then said, what is it? What is it? And I was waiting for the right time to speak to her. She came out of the tub and she sat on the top of the tub. I stayed in the water. I looked up at her. She looked down at me with her big blue eyes. And I said to her, I said, Lulu, I am thinking of closing my practice down, my private practice down, and raise money and build a center for abused women and children and youth in violence. And this is what she said. She said, Roz, do you realize the magnitude of such a project? But if anyone can do it, it's you. 7 years later, I raised $5 million and opened Dr. Roz's Healing Place, a center for abused women and children and youth at risk, all alone. But when we talk about the challenges for women like me and you, when we talk about the challenges, it did not come so easy.
Yes.
The racism played its way out in big ways. Mm-hmm. We had a huge piece where Mary Lou stepped in as well as a white, powerful woman. She stepped in, and this is how it went. Mary Lou's partner went to a Christmas party with Dr. Roz and her friends. A week later, Mary Lou's partner went to another Christmas party with the ministry and fundraisers and the who's the who and the decision makers.
Yes, yes.
Party. Mary Lou's partner told someone, he said, oh, I went to a party last week with Dr. Roz, and oh my gosh, this woman is so beautiful, the way she supported the people who works for her. It was such a lovely party. And the person he was speaking to said, who is a decision maker and a lawmaker and a sign off on everything person, she said, oh, that Dr. Roz, she's too cocky. For a Black woman, she has too much power.
Know your place.
Yeah. She wants to build a center, and I will not sign off on it. Mm-hmm. But what you need to know about me, Rachel, I'm sweet. But when I design my path and I decide to walk that path, do not come in my way. Because once you design your path, keep your eyes on your ball. When the path comes, you walk through it. When the wall is up, you break it down and you keep your eye to achieve your goal. And that's who I am.
You are clear about your vision.
I'm clear about my vision. And no ordinary person or woman or man or individual or human can come on that path. And I keep it real.
Yes.
And I say to my young ones, my mentees, and the people I support, and when they want to make a direction, make a career path, I would often tell them, design your path. Keep your eyes on your journey, on the journey.
Mhm.
Stay focused. Things are going to be tough, not easy. Don't give up. And that's
Yes.
what. So this woman said that to Mary Lou's partner, who came and he said that to Mary Lou 2 o'clock in the morning.
Mm.
Mary Lou got up and took notes as a lawyer.
Yep.
Mary Lou then called me. I was celebrating my daughter's 18th birthday. My daughter is 41.
Yes.
I was with my daughter's birthday party. I was doing a healing circle for my daughter, which is looking at the journey of Black women. And,
Yes.
and that was a spiritual journey we were doing.
Like a
And
rites
Mary,
of passage as well.
yes,
Like sounds like a
yes,
rites of passage. Yes.
yes.
Beautiful.
And Mary Lou called me and said, we need to talk. And I said, not now. Mary Lou came to the circle and she took me to the bathroom and she said, we need to talk about what happened, what I was told. And I said, not now. And she insisted it had to be now. And I said, not now. Went back to my daughter's circle. And after the circle, went back to the bathroom with Mary Lou. And we planned a strategy.
Yes. I love, I love this. First of all, I mean, one conversation with you is clearly not enough. There's so much here. Like, this is a movie. This is a movie. This is a book. This is next level. You are talking about so many different layers here. First of all, I want to, just honor and commend you on the boundary setting because you're so clear, not only about your vision, but about who you are. And that's powerful. And I really want this to land. You have Dr. Roz, the health practitioner, Dr. Roz, the advocate, Dr. Roz, the mother. Dr. Roz, you have many different roles. However, you also have that spiritual grounding. So you have the intellectual prowess, you have the education, you have the heart, you have all of these, but you also have a spiritual grounding, which you can't mess with. That is a grounding that is way above the pay grade of so many human beings and humanoids, and really you that piece, I really want this piece to land because even in the face of, it would be perfectly reasonable to drop everything because this was something that was in your vision and this was something that was really important. And this powerful woman was taking the time to come all the way. You could have created the story around why it was okay to excuse yourself from your daughter's rite of passage to go handle the business. This occasion is only one day, but this deal, this project, you're helping a lot of people. You didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You finished because boundaries, and this was equally important.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then you returned to business.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Many would not have that confidence and that wherewithal to be able to make that distinction and pivot the way you did. So know who you are, really, is the message. Know where your power comes from and know what service you're in and how that pulls you. Be clear. Your vision is not only what you build, it's who you're being and who you were being in that moment. Always, right? This is supreme leadership. This is supreme leadership. So you went back, you strategized with your friend, and what came about?
The power was taken away from her because it was very clear that we, Mary Lou McFadden and Dr. Roz Roach, was not going to sit down and whine and complain and chat with no one else.
No.
I reminded them, if you don't changes, we are going to keep our eyes on this and we'll take this whole ministry for a run.
They didn't like the sound of that.
And we were ready because the facts were there.
Yes.
And the rhythm was clear. And as Mary reminded them, Dr. Roz's husband, that abuse her, does not beat her. She's not doing this for Dr. Roz. She's doing this for this hundreds and thousands of women out there,
Yes.
place to go, who don't have service and don't. So let's be clear how this is going to go.
Yes.
And Mary did say to them, and Mary, we had a meeting with board members and the 2 or 3 ministry members and a couple of lawyers, and we made it very clear. And I remember going to the meeting, halfway through the meeting, but they met without me. And then I was called up to the meeting halfway through it. I remember wearing a huge skirt that I had brought in from some part of England. And as I walked in, the person who made the statement, there was a chair next to her, which was my seat.
Oh, mm-hmm.
So I sat down, and this person, not knowing what the hell was going on, turned to me and she said, "Oh my gosh, Dr. Roz, I love your skirt. Were you traveling again?" And I responded and I said, "I'm not here to talk about my skirt." And then the board in the boardroom, the conversation then began. Why I was. And I'm sitting next to the person who made the statement, who has all the power, and I can feel the vibration of her leg penetrating my leg on the left side, my left side. She was so nervous. And they described the scenario, and they still did not call names. Then to this scenario that was brought to Mary Lou and then brought to me. And then the facilitator said, "Dr. Roz, what do you want?" And I said, "I'll tell you what I want. I don't want this person," as I turn my body to face the person on my left, I don't want this person to have anything to do with people who look like me. And having said that, this person cannot be in this powerful position. Because if I kept saying, and I said, if this person is able to see me as Black and cocky and she would never sign off for me to have a legacy. This person doesn't know me. She knows my work. I said, no, I don't want this person to have anything to do with anyone who looks like me.
She's compromised.
Because I said, my brothers and sisters are at risk.
Yeah.
So they got it. So she had to step down from her position. And we continued to build. And I continue my journey for the healing place, but it went a little bit further where an organization donated, and I said them, "No, keep that money. I don't want your money." That was shocking too. When I United Way's money, and because I knew I was, and they're like, "Oh my God, I don't know anyone who turns away funders' money." Like, no. And I said to my board, "Let me go out there and hustle."
Yes.
United Way is not going to put me under no kind of,
lock you down in any way to,
But I did. And 7 years, not 7 at that time, but I went on the project for the beginning of 7 years. And about 4 years later, we opened the doors of Dr. Roz's Healing Place.
Yes, congratulations.
33 women and children inside. We serve nationally, we serve locally, and globally. So in a year, we can serve almost 1,000 women who are survivors and victims of violence.
And at the time, it was the only healing place of its kind.
Yes, it still is.
Still is, right? Yeah. Well, I'm being.
People may pick up the word along the way.
I'm trying to make it seem like.
No, it's still, because they're an organization that picked up the word healing and put it into their names recently.
Yes.
But they don't do holistic healing. We do holistic healing. And we actually provide women and children with skills and tools and support and education and opportunities and housing and different forms of therapy.
Yes.
Be ready to face the world when they leave us after 4 months.
And
we follow them till they can fly.
Dr. Roz, going back to your original observation, when you went into every shelter across the province, you've created a center, and I can attest to this firsthand because I've actually been in the center, and I can say this center truly is a healing place, and it affords dignity to those you serve, right? And it is beautiful. It is pristine. It is clean. It is, you wouldn't know what you were walking into.
And most
you wouldn't know.
No, most people don't know
Yes,
until
and that's strategic too. And when you come here, you know, as a woman who, you know, even if you're not one of the residents, right? You walk in and there's a sense of calm, there's a sense of peace, and there's a sense of being held. You feel safe, and you
yeah,
know that you can literally just take your worries and set them aside. You just take that load off, and the space is conducive
the healing.
for healing, growth,
Mm-hmm.
connection, intimacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can be vulnerable in this
Yeah,
space, and you can see it. It's palpable. You can feel it. And that is, you know, in part to your intentionality in the way you put this place together, this space,
yeah,
you know. And so, you know, kudos to you because everything is so well thought out and so just from love that
yeah,
literally again you've now become you've always been like the standard, the gold standard, the bar.
mm-hmm.
You keep setting the bar and you know just higher and higher because why not? We are worthy
Yeah,
of this.
yeah,
We're each
yeah, yeah,
worthy of this, you know. And so now you go, and not only are you in service to those who are fleeing violence, but you're also in service to other people who are attempting to build similar things. You're
yeah.
supporting, I mean, still the policy, the putting, you know,
The
structures
program.
together,
Yeah,
programs for
yeah,
organizations. Like literally, you've now become the template where it's like others who were talking smack and attempting to, you know, rip this down and poke holes in it now have to
but
turn around, come back, tail between their legs, I
yeah,
say,
yeah,
to now
for real.
come and say, yeah, about this thing that you're doing, why is it working? And can
Mm-hmm.
you yeah, can you teach me how
Yeah,
to do it
yeah.
too? Because
And
I'm being
that-
pressured.
that's what we get. Even the government would call and tell people speak to Dr. Roz or the
Yes,
it's Dr. Roz. I'm sending some agencies towards
you're the
forward
template.
you, and you help them along. So we
You're
yeah,
the template. You've become the
yeah,
template. Yes. And so, you know, again, this is about when you're in on your path and
yes,
in excellence,
yes.
no compromise. This is a no compromise zone. You know, I really love this because again, you were saying the walls will always be there, the resistance will always be there. However, when you're clear and you're committed and you
Mm-hmm.
come from a place of love and compassion, yet you have no qualms pivoting into being formidable, right?
Yeah.
Whatever is necessary to
Mm-hmm.
be the one who brings the result, the one
Mm-hmm.
who brings, you know, the healing, the
Yeah.
medicine to the people who are in dire need
Yeah.
of service. So I mean, I know, you know, in your story there's so many that, as I said, more than one part. You now have the healing place you have, you know, for many years. Would you please share, like, whether even in terms of your own personal practice, others who are listening to this today, I mean, they might be thinking, oh my God, I'm not Dr. Roz. I couldn't possibly, you know, deal with this. What would you say to them in terms of like, how does one even connect to that or ignite that within themselves? Or how does one even honor their path, you know, in the face of such resistance and adversity, speaking to, you know, women who look like us and others who want to be allies. um
I believe that we, each and every one of us, human beings, came on this space, this planet, or this whatever this is, with a purpose.
yes.
And I think we all came with a script. We came
Mm,
here for a purpose. And I believe that we have to stop sometimes. And we can stop very early in our lives, or we can stop in the middle age. But we need to stop at some point
yes.
and figure out what is our purpose here. And our purposes are different. They are not the same. But once we can find what that purpose is, we
Yes.
on our way. And so often we just exist. So often we just live one day to the next for whatever reason.
Yes.
But this is for me to say, stop, breathe, inhale, exhale, close those eyes. Turn those eyes inward for a change instead of looking outwards all the time.
Yes, powerful.
Look inside and just stay with it. Don't go on any very difficult task searching for a purpose. This is not
go within.
Don't go searching. What is my purpose? Maybe my purpose is to cook. No, just stay with it.
Yes.
Let it, and you would find it. It would come to you. Because we are governed from a higher level. We are not just governed by the eyes we see and the clothes we wear, the shoes we wear, and the nails we do. That is just a lower level.
Yes.
Just start with self-love.
Yes.
Start with you. Start being comfortable with you. Turn off the tapes that were penetrated into your cycle from the time you came in this world. Create your own tape. Put your own messages on your tape. Put your own messages on your tape.
Yes.
And you play that tape. And the noise that came from the time you came out into this world and as you grow and develop, the noise that came into our psyche,
yes,
rid of it. Play your own tape and you would find it. But there's also a piece about believing in yourself. I've spoken to young people a lot. I have 45 mentees. And they're not all in Canada, they're all around the world. And I speak to them time to time, depending on where they are and what they're doing.
Yes.
And I often would say to them, you have to start with believing that you can do it. I've had this young woman that I'm mentoring in India. I spoke to her the day after Christmas. She called and she's speaking with me. And I'm saying to her, you have to take charge. There's so much that externally is in charge of you, but there's so much you're in charge of you. You have your own power, right?
Yeah.
And you have to her, you have your own power. She does not believe that. And after an hour of this long distance talking, I got really firm with her because I've been mentoring her for about 5 years. I know her well.
Yeah.
I got really firm with her. And I said, listen, if you don't begin, no, because I'm sweet, tiptoeing. Point come is like, cut that crap out.
Yes.
No, that's who I am.
No, I know. That's why I'm laughing.
Don't believe in yourself. And if you don't love yourself, who the hell you think gonna love you or believe in you? I said, you are in charge. I said to her, she got really quiet for a while. And I said, after this session, you take the time in a quiet space all by yourself with no distraction and just breathe. Find the love in you. It's there. Dig deep enough to reach your feet and pull it out. I said to her. I said, you can do whatever you do once it stays within reality. She said to me, she wants to be this, she wants to be that. And I said to her, stop wanting.
Stop wanting.
Yes. Just want it. I said that to her on Saturday.
Yes.
I said, I want. How long have you been telling me I want? I said to her, who you think gonna give it to you? I said, you are the only one who can care for you, who can self-care for you, and who can really give you what you want. Yes. Others may want to do it and they don't know how. Others may not want to do it. So you can't rely on anyone else but you.
Yes.
So the message I would give is about the importance of self-care and self-love.
Yes. We
have to start from there because we are containers of garbage. We are filled with so much messages, so much. And as Black women, all women, but as Black women, we carry much more load and burden than most because we come with a history. We come being told many things and we internalize it. And we can hear tapes playing in our head from time to time, consciously and unconsciously.
Yes.
So fix that tape. Create your own tape. put the messages you want
Get
on.
your own mixtape is the message,
Yes,
Dr. Ross.
yes, don't
Make your
take-
own mixtape.
yeah. And that is what I said to her.
Be your own DJ. Be your own supernatural DJ.
Yeah, 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 you have to. Who
Yeah,
you think you want to hear on that? You have to do it
yeah,
yourself, clean it up,
exactly.
you
Yes.
know, and
I love
begin.
that visual. Yes.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Well, I also know that recently you released a video. And in addition to being an advocate, a boss, a mentor, a healthcare practitioner, you name it, a founder, a producer, a writer, like there's no checkbox left unticked with Dr. Roz, and you write music. I mean, you already mentioned, I mean, you're an artist, you're a musician, you're a dancer, you know, seamstress. Like there's nothing, like let's not even start, like carnival is a whole other episode, you know, getting into that and just how you've been such a staple and a presence and a cultural ambassador, also of you know, not only the Caribbean, but specifically Trinidad, your home, your home. And so you recently released. Tell us about the music video you recently.
Well, the music video is just one out of the 10 songs on my album.
Are you listening to this?
Yeah. And I'll tell you how that came to be. I am so tired walking around the world with a briefcase with overheads and handouts and brochures, flyers, talking about the impact of violence on women and children and communities and families at large. I am so tired of that. I've been doing that for 44 years.
Wow.
I've had an incident. I have an organization in the Caribbean called Women's Lives Matter Too, where I really help women who are at risk of being killed. I bring them out of the country, bring them into Canada, set them up, get them their landed papers, their
Yes.
immigration papers, get them jobs, get them a life. And at some time, we even change names to protect them from being killed.
Yes.
But I've had some impacts that made me very tired and particularly angry. That a friend of mine in Trinidad, who is he is the owner of a television studio. He was my client at one point, and he says this publicly, so I can. Being on drugs, and I was his therapist in the 80s, and he was able to release himself from drugs, and he became a dear friend of mine after he was my client and patient, and that was done.
Yes.
But so he told me something one day in confidence. He told me that there was someone that he knew that he felt that she was being abused by her partner, her husband, and he wanted me to sit and talk with her. But don't let her know that he leaked that to me.
Okay.
So he set up a meeting with both of us, and he told her I wanted to meet Dr. Roz. And she's an anchor woman, a television anchor woman on the news. And I met with her. And she bragged about me, and she heard so much about me, and oh, I'm so this and I'm so that. And we began a conversation, a careful conversation for about 3 hours in the lobby of the television house. And in that conversation, she talked about a friend. My friend. I knew she was talking about herself.
Yes.
But she talked about a friend. And at some point, I could not bear listening to the friend anymore.
Yes.
And I said, are you sure you're not talking about yourself? And she said, no, Dr. Roz, what to do after this? My friend is in this, what should she do? My friend, and that's how it went. And I left her and I thought, I've done my part. That's all I can do I can't tell this woman I was told this. And I just tested her and she said no, and I've done my part. About 2 weeks later, I was in the airport going to another country. And I got a phone call from my friend in Trinidad. And she said, where are you, Roz? I said, I am going to this place. She said, what are you going to do there? I said, I'm going to do what I do. And she said, this morning, this person was murdered by her husband. And I stayed still. I left the airport. I went back to my house and I took a flight next morning. And I need to say, I took a flight that cost me over almost $3,000 because it was last minute. I was traveling business that over.
Yes.
I will not forget that moment. I went to Trinidad. When I came back to Toronto, I was lying on the mat of my studio in my home in Markham. Mm-hmm. And I reflecting on the conversation. And I said, in the 70s, women are being abused, but today it's like everybody and everywhere. And even those who are, they use the nice weave, the nice nails, the nice makeup, the nice clothing, the big
doesn't matter.
It does not, it crosses all boundaries, all race, all cultures, all religion, all communities. Yeah. And I decided to write Sisters Calling. Not sisters, sisters. SISTS. That's sisters. Sisters.
Not sisters. Sisters. Yes. Calling. Yes.
And
arise.
Calling. I decided to go to a side of me that is powerful and kept me well, which is my artsy, cultural, folklore side, and write this production. Yes. Because in my world, I have two sides of me that come in balance all the time, which is my artsy side and my academic side. And people who know my academic side, they don't usually know my artsy side. And people who know my artsy side don't actually know they don't care about the academic side.
Yes, yes. They seem like two completely different worlds, but really.
Very much so. Mm-hmm. So I decided to go there and spend some time here. And I wrote Sisters Calling, basically calling on brothers, because I'm surrounded with good brothers, like my son, my husband, my girlfriend's husband. I just have good in my life.
Yes.
And I'm calling on brothers to join the sisters to help us make a difference. Because when women like me go with the overheads and the handouts and the brochures, oh, she's just another feminist.
Yes.
Oh, she's a hater. Oh, Dr. Roz is, So I call on brothers to help me, help us who are doing this work, to hold brothers who are abusers and abusive, to hold them accountable.
Absolutely.
Because they would quicker listen to the brother than to listen to me.
Yes. And this is a global epidemic, as you mentioned. We're all in this. Like, no one is left unscathed here.
No.
This is not an isolated incident.
No, it's not. No.
Yes. So this is urgent.
Yes.
This is, and has been for.
Join the Sisters Calling.
Yeah.
Join, let's make a difference. This is not a woman's issue.
No.
Perpetuated by men. It's a health issue, it's an economic issue, it's a housing issue, it's a social issue, it's an educational issue, it's
everything.
A global. It is a real issue, brothers.
Yes.
We cannot do this alone. We need your help, you brothers with souls and souls.
Yes.
Which is the theme song of the production.
Beautiful. And you made a video, and I was blessed and fortunate enough to watch this. And the video will be included in this episode. So I am so grateful. First of all, just thank you so much for your service, your dedication, your love, your commitment, your vision, being on this path and taking that step to go inward in order to come out into the world and be that medicine that is so required by so many who may not yet have their voice and may not yet know their purpose. So I thank you for being that light, that loving light of healing, Dr. Roz Roach. Thank you so much for being here. And as I said, I'm going to see if I can get her to come back again. Let's talk carnival. Let's talk that whole mass. Let's,
yeah.
oh.
Yeah. Well, out on the 8th of February.
Oh, see, she's always wrong. But not a problem, not a problem. Toronto is home base too, so we will make it happen. Where there's a will, there's a way. And again, any final words, Dr. Roz?
I just want to thank you and love you the way I love all the sisters who look like me, and to share with you the light that I have and the goodness and the breath that I take every day. I want to be a part of that, of my day. Thank
Yes.
you. Love to you. You stay well, you stay strong, you are doing great stuff as well. And I
Thank
really
you.
you, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. That means so much, because I think, and you know, you're in my heart and always have been from the moment we connected. Yes.
This is
Yes.
many years ago.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. So thank you all for watching. Dr. Roz Roach, please, I'll put all the information, like her bio and everything and all the links. But so enjoy the video, and not as entertainment, but as a call to action.
Yeah.
Rise up within, step into your boldness, step into your courage, and go out into the world, and you become the medicine required. Thank you, Dr. Roz Roach.
Thank you.
Bye, all.
Kick up. Kick up. Can't touch this, can't touch this. No permission given. Can't touch this, can't touch this. What did you hear, man? Take your hands off me. I'm heading to my destiny. And you know, no means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. Can't touch this, can't touch this. This is my own choice. Can't touch this, can't touch this. I say when to get close. Do not try to impose. My body is my own. My body is my own. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. Can't touch this, can't touch this. This temple is my zone. Can't touch this, can't touch this. What the hell do you suppose is happening when you get close up to my pose? Close up to my pose. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. Can't touch this, can't touch this. Hear me when I say, can't touch this, can't touch this. There is a better way. My body is my own, and I'm in full control. I am in full control. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. No means no, 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 no. Can't touch this, can't touch this. No permission given.